Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and we're continuing on with our rewatch of the 1978 original Battlestar Galactica, the single season, and I'm at episode number 6. I actually tried to watch episode number 7 as well earlier, but my power actually went out, so I had to stop after the first 5 minutes. So episode number 6 is The Lost Warrior. So it's the first standalone single episode in this particular series, because the first one is a 3-parter and the next is a 2-parter. So The Lost Warrior features Apollo having to get separated from Luma and Starbuck, because they're part of a recon, and they are trying to lead a horde of Cylon raiders away from the Battlestar Galactica. He managed to do so and shoot up some of them, while Apollo and Starbuck find their way back to the Galactica. Apollo needs to land his ship because it's damaged, and he's run out of fuel. So he crash lands onto it's a planet, Aquarius, which is a low-tech planet similar to the American West, and they really do show up that theme over here. So it's colonials. However, this is a group that is separated off from the main part many eons ago, and he is found by a young man named Purpose, who hears the sound. He lives on a small ranch with his widowed mother, Vela, and he comes and he finds him, and then Vela comes looking for Purpose. They bring him inside, and what happens is, apparently there was a crash ship a while back, or a Cylon raider, and only one Cylon actually survived, and but he was damaged. He got hit in the head, and he happened to be damaged. A rich man in the colony, he managed to get it to kind of recognize him as the imperious leader, and it starts to obey all of his commands. So what he basically does is he uses that to his advantage, and he threatens the rest of the folk, and they have to give him something called tribute, which is basically he has a kind of like a tax or kind of thing like that. So they need to give him some of their share of their crops or their herds or cattle or whatever, and if not, he sends the Cylon that he now commands, who the people in the colony have started calling as just Red Eye. It's also seemingly that they do not know. It seems to me that they do not know this particular colony does not know about the Cylons. They've never encountered them before, because they probably separated from the rest of the humans a long time back, well before the Cylons started becoming the enemy of the human race. And this is where Apollo finds himself in. So Apollo decides to do some checking on his own. He speaks to the landlord. His name is Lasita, and he has been taking tribute for almost 10 years. So this crash happened over 10 years ago. And we also find out that Vela's husband was a colonial warrior. While he was finding, I don't say much about. His name is Martin. So apparently he was a colonial warrior who found himself in a similar situation to Apollo. He was fighting the Cylons when he crash landed on the farm, and he was found by Boots, who is Vela's brother, and Vela basically took care of him, and they fell in love. They got married. And when the Cylon was discovered by I forgot his name, Lasita, he started bullying the townfolk. Martin decided to take his gun and try to go and shoot him, but he was killed by the Cylon, leaving a very young Purpose, who was a baby at the time, and to be without a father, and Vela to be without her husband. So initially she doesn't want Apollo to fall to the same fate, and he tells her about it, and Purpose is actually kind of proud that his father was actually a colonial warrior, and he actually wants to be able to go fly in space, just like his dad did. But his mother keeps discouraging him from ever having those kind of dreams. In the end, however, knowing that he doesn't have any other choice, Apollo takes his gun, goes and confronts Lassiter, who calls out Red Eye, and Apollo shoots him first. So Red Eye is now dead. Now the townfolk can gang up against Lassiter, and he will not be able to take advantage of them anymore. Although he has become quite fond of and close to both Puppis and Vela, as well as some of the townfolk, he is later found by Starbuck and Boomer, and they help him with fuel, and he says his goodbyes and he leaves. He promises them that he'll actually come back and he'll come back to see them a little later. However, we don't actually get to see any of that in the next episode show. I found it really odd, and this is not just the first episode. If you found out some humans who are living they're kind of not as advanced as the rest of them, would it actually make sense for them to be protected by the rest of the Galactica? Because they might not have enough space, I guess, on the ships, or it would mean that they would have to come this side, and maybe a movement of the fleet coming here might actually alert the Cylons. But I found it kind of odd as to how come these humans weren't taken along with the rest of Galactica. So as we see after they leave, you see Puppis and his mom lying on the grass, staring at the stars, wondering about life on other planets and all that stuff. And Apollo promises that he'll actually come back, but he has to get back to Boxy now that Serena is dead, and he is the only one who can. He is the only family that Boxy has. I found it really awkward that this actually happened. So I've been saying that quite a bit, but yeah, that's my take on this particular episode. Like this episode a lot. If I were to give this single standalone episode a rating, I think I would probably give it a 8.5 out of 10. It hit all the emotional elements, I say, because Apollo, having just lost his wife, thinking that he's never going to be able to see Boxy again, thinking that he's never going to see the rest of the family again. There is a scene in which Starbuck and Boomer speak to Adama, and they say the odd reports that Apollo had on the radio, and apparently Adama says that that's Apollo's plan. He doesn't want he's willing to sacrifice his life so that the rest of the fleet can actually survive without leading the Cylons to them. So I found that really the father being proud that the son is actually willing to do that. So again, like I said, 8.5 out of 10, because it's a really good episode. So take care, guys.